This is the Newsload.
Hi, I'm Carrie Anne Stevenson. Welcome to Newsload. Today we are interviewing Jarrett Campbell. Hi, how are you, Jarrett?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Where are you right now?
I am in Toronto. I'm just downtown here, hanging out. I'm kind of in the city for the most part until the holidays, so just chilling.
And then the holidays,
you-
you go visit your parents?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out to see them out in the country. So they're like 2 hours north of Toronto. So back to my roots for a moment, you know?
Farm boy.
Yeah. Well, I didn't grow up on a farm, but I'm surrounded by them. It's like Mennonite country, so very country.
That's fun. Did they end up going to your high
Yeah.
school and integrating a little bit?
Oh, they don't go to high school. They went to our public school, but they only go to school until grade 8. So, yeah, very much so. So I was home for the holidays a few years ago, and I drove by my old school, and it happened to be recess, and I could see on the playground it was actually very segregated. Like it was all Mennonites on one side, and then everybody else on the other side. So when I first started going to school, or when they first started going to our school, there was only like one Mennonite, and then we had two. By the time I finished there was like 4 or 5, and now it's like half the school. So it's changed a bit.
I wonder what it's like when they're in class and it's like, talking about Facebook or any of the modern stuff, and they're like, they can't relate.
Yeah, I mean, they can't, but it's also hard to like know what loopholes they're using and whatnot because they have like computers and cell phones because they do a lot of business, but I doubt that kids have any access to that stuff. But they definitely have technology, so
So
it's
fascinating.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
So, were you born around Toronto?
No, I was actually born in Germany, because my dad was in the military, and so he was there at like the end of the Cold War to give you an idea of kind of how old I am. And then so I was born there, my brother was born there, and then we moved back to Canada. So my dad's Canadian, mother's German. And we moved to here when I was like 2 years old, and then I used to go back to Germany like in the summers and stuff for most of my childhood. So I still have more family in Germany than I have here, actually.
Do you have Italian background as well? Your eyebrows look Italian.
I don't. These are I feel like these come from my father's side, but his side's like Scottish and everything, so I don't know if that tracks at all.
Fascinating, fascinating. So you have
Yeah.
a brother. Do you have any other siblings?
No, just one. So one older brother, and that's it. It's just a family of four, and everyone's still alive and well, so that's good.
And your mom is German. Does she have a sense of humor?
None. No, she does. She's actually very fun. She only speaks German to me. Like she only speaks German to me. She texts me in German and everything. She always wants to keep it alive. But I actually realized after I posted a clip earlier this year that ended up getting some heat online that I learned pretty quickly that the Germans do not like me, and they do not find my German humor funny, and they actually find it quite insulting. So I'll say my mother has a sense of humor, but as a whole, it seems like Germany's still figuring that out.
Well, the Robin Williams joke is, well, it's because they killed all the funny people.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't think that's far off.
My grandmother's German, so I know Hopa Hopa Reita, and I know
Yeah.
um, Alle kleine Entchen,
Oh,
and
little angel.
yeah,
Did you, would you call her Oma?
no, grandma.
Yeah. Okay.
No, no. My mother really, really Canadianized us, but my grandmother, she babysat us. So it was a lot of Young and the Restless and O Tannenbaum.
Okay. And did she have a sense of humor?
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
Very,
I,
very funny German. They were Baltic Germans. So I
okay.
believe that's described as the ones that fought the Nazis. So
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think I have a mix of both sides in there. But I find if I go to Germany and everything, I actually find they're very fun. Like, the people that I know there are actually great. They love to drink. It's a big drinking culture. They like to get together. They sing. They fucking dance. They party. Like, it seems that way. But then, you make the wrong joke, and it seems like the entire nation hates you. So, I
What
can't.
was this joke that
I
you
was just
turned an entire
It's not a bad joke. Like, it's just a joke about when I coming here and speaking like a mix of German and English, and then I just do a joke about a sentence starting in English and then it falling off into German. But I got the German, I kind of amp it up and it comes out like aggressive and loud. And they were just so offended by the fact that people are still trying to label German as an aggressive language when it's just this beautiful language. And I was like, listen, guys, I appreciate that you're sensitive about your culture, but you're stuck with your history. Like,
Yeah,
you gotta
and
understand.
German is a war language. It's very like even I love you is ich liebe dich, like
Exactly. Yeah.
that is
No, it
not a
sounds
loving and romantic sounding
no,
language. And I have German in me, so
there's a lot of fucking throat, and it always seemed like when my mother was talking to me as a kid, people just thought that I was in trouble all the time, but she might have been saying something extremely kind, but it sounded like I was in deep shit. So I don't know. It's everybody else sees this and understands it, but they seem to not. So
super funny.
mm.
Do you have any heckling stories while you were on stage?
Heckling stories. I mean, I've had so many disaster shows in my life. I've been, I mean, I've definitely been heckled. I've had people scream just about everything at me. I've had a girl come up and take the mic and try to try to tell a joke mid-show, and she ended up just telling the most racist joke, and the crowd turned, and it was so fucking funny. The joke wasn't, but like the scenario was. I've had a host have to come take the mic from me because I've gotten into a fight with people in the audience. Like, back in the day, I think before I got a little more seasoned in comedy, I would like I and I drank a lot more when I went on stage when I was starting out. So I would really like get into it with audience members, and I like to be heckled because then I could just go at them. But I didn't know yet how to do that in a charming way where I wasn't alienating the rest of the room and making everybody have a really uncomfortable experience. So um, I can't think of what, like, off the top of my head, anything specifically that people have yelled at me, but I've heard everything because I've always liked those kind of drunk, rowdy crowds. And especially, like, I've always enjoyed like the late shows at comedy clubs when everyone's partying. And I'm also like, I invite people to kind of fuck with me. Like, it's like, if you want to yell something or you want to do something, like, I'll make the rest of the room listen and make you repeat it, and then we're gonna dive into it and we're gonna have a conversation. So I've had a lot of that happen.
Fun, fun. Do you have any comedians that you've met that you've been starstruck?
No, not in comedy. I don't think. I don't really get starstruck, but like, I think probably just like my first time maybe going like just for laughs or something, and just being in a room with some of these people was very cool to me because it was just that moment again. Like, coming from where I grew up, like out in the country and everything like that, you never people out there don't have dreams, right? So you assume you're gonna end up working the trades or whatever. So the idea of like being on TV or being around people from TV and all that is kind of like it doesn't seem real to you almost when you have such like kind of you live in a bubble like that. So I've definitely had kind of that experience of being like looking around a room, and be like, "Fuck, this is cool." But I don't know if anybody's really blown my mind. But I've had the opportunity to meet some people that I really respected and loved for a lot of years, and for the most part, everybody I've met ends up being pretty cool because you see, like, in comedy, it doesn't matter what level people are on, there still is this sort of connection of just being like, we're comics. And a lot of people in comedy come from the same place, right? Like, we all did these hell gigs coming up and played in a pub for fucking four people. And so there's kind of like a camaraderie there, and people tend to be pretty cool. So I've had the chance to work with and meet some really dope comedians over the years. It's been awesome.
For sure. On your Facebook, you have this fabulous picture of you with Theo Vaughn and Jamie Kennedy. Like you have some pretty heavy hitting comedians that you've been working with.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to get to work with some pretty cool people and kind of go out, and that's where I've had the chance to do some of my first experiences doing big shows and shit like that and getting in front of theaters and everything. And I just recently did a short run with Theo Von while he was out here. And I got to do a handful of shows with him, which was awesome. So yeah, that's always nice when you get to work with somebody, and then they also turn out to be uh, a cool person. 'Cause it's disappointing when you meet somebody and they're a piece of shit, which that's happened too. But
And we don't want to, name drop who are shitheads, but
yeah, no, nobody. I don't have anybody that's like, I don't have any big names, honestly. Like, I don't that I think are actually that I would label as douchebags or anything like that. Everyone's been pretty cool. I've met definitely a lot of shitty people in this industry, but I think for the most part, people that I liked and respected, I was happy to find out that they were all right people.
what did you talk about with Theo Vaughn? Like anything special?
I've talked about a lot of shit with Theo. I mean, he's a big sports fan, and he's obviously a very interesting dude who has a lot of like his mind works in a very specific way. But I'll tell you what was cool for Theo, I guess would be cool for other people to kind of hear, like other younger comics, is that the thing that I guess that I talked with him about the last night that I was with him was the whole thing because he was doing he ended up selling out like so many shows. He was basically in Toronto for like 2 weeks and he sold out the theaters every single night. So I asked him, like, why didn't you just play like Scotiabank Arena? Like you could have sold out the arena basically twice at this point with that. And it was the idea of kind of seeing that no matter what level you're on, he still has these insecurities about playing certain, like he still felt he wasn't ready for it, but he's obviously ready for it. And it was just very cool to, to talk to somebody at a certain level, and that whole kind of imposter syndrome and all this shit doesn't really go away necessarily. Like the stuff that you kind of have your fears about when you're an open mic comic are still existing when you're performing for millions of people and stuff. So I think it's that was kind of comforting to me almost to know that like we have this those kind of innate fears we have and stuff exist in everybody, and and the vulnerability is still there even though the success is there. I think a lot of people don't realize it as much when they're in the middle of it as people who are looking at it from the outside, right? If that
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
love it. I love when they care. I loved watching
That's it, giving a shit still is that's what I mean too, right? Actually caring about the craft and giving a fuck what people think and all that. But sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I loved live from New York, Robin Williams. Before he was going on, the camera was right in his face, which is the worst time,
Sure.
just before you're about to go on stage. Jerry Seinfeld is the only one who can go on and just like walk on, hey, how you doing? And like go on. But like Robin Williams is literally having a mini panic attack backstage and in the camera saying fuck you Marty, who was the director of the show at the time, like why'd you make me do this bullshit. Like Robin Williams, even before going on stage,
For sure.
nervous, and I really appreciate that. And I absolutely understand talking with comics when they're coming through town. Do you want to grab dinner before the show? No, I can't eat before a show. Like just all of that.
Hmm. Yeah, and the and just the whole that thing about nervousness and being nervous before you go on stage, I think that never goes away. It changes, right? Like you don't have that fear, like you're not necessarily having clammy hands and you're scared about what's going to happen out there, but you get that good kind of nervous in your stomach. And I think if you love what you do, that doesn't go away. That before you get up there, it's not really okay until you go out there and you hear a few laughs and you land a few jokes, because you go out there and you just fucking bomb your first joke. You could still be in trouble and it doesn't matter where you are, right? So I think that's that. If once you lose that feeling, those kind of butterflies before you get on stage, it's probably not good.
Yeah, I'd assume that when you stop caring, when get a little bitter, it might be
Mhm.
time to hang up the mic.
Well, I don't know. I think every comedian eventually is going to become a little bit jaded. It probably happens in every industry, but like I think that's part of it is being jaded. But it's not about necessarily losing the love for it, but you're still going to have an edge the more years you do, just in terms of once you get an understanding of how people are and what people want from you and how the industry works. Now nobody's really rooting for each other. Like there's still all that kind of high school shit that happens in the entertainment industry, I think. And you're going to be a little jaded at some point, but your love for the craft itself has to trump that, obviously.
Absolutely. It's definitely still high school. The some of the boys are going to be jealous of your success. There's going to be, gossip and trash talk behind your back.
Yeah, I mean, it's all petty. I've worked a lot in the last few years to kind of really try to distance myself from that stuff because I truly don't give a shit anymore about the petty thing. I think that whole notion of like you really do just have to worry about yourself and try to celebrate other people's successes and be happy for other people, and you'll get yours eventually. But people who spend their time rooting actively against other people to succeed because they're afraid of where they're at or that they're not going to get that or something is all that's just the type of shit that I don't care for anymore. And I think that I don't know, you got to look inward if you're not wanting people around you to be successful at all, I think.
For sure. Stay in your lane and stay moisturized, right?
Stay wet.
Moisturized, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of moisturized, you have beautiful skin. Is this the German
Thanks.
Canadian?
You know what? I think it might just be the lighting or the camera's doing me some favors, but I think I got like ivory white skin, to be honest with you. I'm pretty disappointed because I get a decent tan for someone that looks like they shouldn't during the summer, but then once it goes away, like I feel like if you have a flashlight to the back of my head, my entire body would light up. But I don't know. I think this year I've really started taking like health a lot more serious. So I'm working out a lot. I'm eating a lot better. I'm not drinking as much. So I feel like I probably look a little better, but I also think I look like shit if you caught me right now in like the natural light outside. So
Well, you're pulling off the mustache very well. You don't look like
thanks.
you're undercover too badly.
That's good. That's good. I still feel like I still have the creep element though, right? Like I still look like someone you could picture with their fucking fingers through the chain link fence at any public grounds that I shouldn't be at.
Well, I'm curious if your Christmas present to anybody is your dick in a box,
No, I'm more of I don't like to wrap anything, so I just stick in a hand. It's just straight up. You don't got to shake it to figure out what it is.
Amazing, amazing. Cancel culture is huge. Are you suffering from anything?
That was a good cue up for that.
Yeah, for
right
sure.
After I talked about fucking presenting my dick in my hand.
Yeah,
Segue into getting canceled.
yeah.
It's snowing outside. That's nice. Cancel culture, yeah, it is. You know what? I think it's coming back a little bit in terms of like, I mean, listen, if you're doing really fucked up shit, you're gonna get canceled. I mean, there's people. I have a joke about it and everything too about like there's people who need to be canceled, who needed to get canceled, who got away with fucked up shit for a long time. But I think that in terms of getting canceled simply for saying the wrong thing was really a time and a place over the last few years where it was really bad and people didn't have a lot better things to do than to go online and attack. So I think we're getting back to a place right now where comedians are a little less fearful of what they're going to say on stage. I certainly don't want to do comedy in a world where I'm afraid of what I'm going to say. Like I know where I come from and I know deep down, like I don't mind offending somebody, but I also know that, I know what my morals and my values are. And I know that whatever I'm saying is in a joking context. And I don't mind if I have some blowback on things I might say. But I do see that coming back a little bit and that people aren't as scared as they maybe were a few years ago, and cancel culture itself has gone down a bit. And again, that I'm not talking about the severe fucking things that people might be doing. I'm just talking about more using their voice to kind of be comfortable saying the things that they want to say, because for a while it was like you could get canceled for fucking the spectrum was pretty large for what you could get canceled for. And some of it was shit that you needed to be canceled for. And some stuff I thought was just the internet going fucking crazy. And then networks and people getting scared and kind of blocking people out. But then you've also seen these people find their own pockets now, right? With the way social media is and the internet and stuff. A lot of these people that were canceled, they're still working. They're still doing their thing. They just have a much different audience. And then they often start playing to that audience, and you just see their entire thing change. Like they end up being a little more leaning a certain way now because they feel like they got pushed out by that crowd, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting that Bill Cosby can still, sell shows, like people still
That's
want to watch
wild. So that's exactly the example I'm talking about of the severe shit. Like if you're talking about like sexual abuse allegations and shit that is that fucking bad, those people should be erased. And I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But even a guy like that can still find a pocket where he can sell tickets. So it's like it's wild. And you still always have the people that don't believe things or whatever. But I've always been like when it comes to, again, like I don't necessarily against anybody being canceled, but cancel culture I think became a very toxic, venomous thing within
Absolutely.
entertainment.
Yes. A witch hunt almost.
Yeah, it was people that just wanted to tear other people down, and that kind of goes back to other people. A lot of it being like they just didn't think somebody else deserves this or deserves to be happy, and that kind of goes back to what I was talking about people not being able to celebrate other people's success. Some people are just fucking mad at people because they're mad at themselves, and they finally with the internet have an outlet, and you can really destroy someone's fucking livelihood simply by not agreeing with them or liking them. And I think that's fucked up.
Yeah. Well, Jarrett, I think that you're absolutely amazing. Where can we find you next on your website, on all your social medias?
Yeah, just on social. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I usually post where I'm going to be. Like I said, I'm here for the next few weeks. I'm kind of all around Toronto and doing local stuff, and then I'll kind of be back out on the road starting in the new year and going down to the States and everything. So I'm gonna just enjoy these next few weeks and kind of sit tight. So if you're in and around Toronto and you want to catch me, you just check my social media and you kind of see where I'm at, and I'll be around.
Amazing. And one last thing before you go, if you can say it loud, say it proud. I love Newsload.
I love Newsload.
With the wink even, I love it. Well, thank you, Jarrett.
That's what
you have an amazing
day. Okay, thank you for having me, man. Take care.
Bye.
This is the Newsload.